Good morning, classmates, and good morning to our professor, Sir Gus Agosto. We are from Group 6, and we are tasked to share with you the factors affecting the cost of market study. Developers often underestimate the value of an impartial assessment of the market, but they do understand that for their plans to be approved, they have to pay for the services of other professionals like the architect, land planner, and engineer at a minimum to get plans approved. But they don't see any need to pay for an outside market study unless a lender or a government agency asks them to do so. Even when they recognize the need for an objective analysis, they may not have a realistic sense of what a market study will cost. So what really influences the cost of market research? These three: the study objectives, the expertise needed, and the complexity of the research will all influence the cost of market research. A developer, lender, investor, or government agency that is considering hiring a consultant to conduct a market study must take into account a number of factors when budgeting for a work. So here are the factors affecting the cost of market study. Number of land uses to be studied, level of detail required, using a market analyst with experience and credentials, fieldwork experiences, buying data, hiring subcontractors, and scheduling. For the first factor, number of land uses to be studied, the volume of data that a consultant must collect and analyze is much greater for a multi-use project than for a single-use property. If a residential development will have both rental and for sale components, data about the characteristics of household demand may be the same for both housing types, but the market analyst will have to visit many more potentially competitive properties. For a mixed-use project comprising office space, a hotel, and condominiums will require more detailed analysis of employment data and sources of demand for hotel rooms. There may be some economies of scale with multiple uses, but mixed-use projects are inherently more complex and more risky than are of single-use projects. In some cases, more than one consultant will be necessary, and the scope of services for each expert analyst must be crafted carefully to avoid duplication of effort. The third factor is the level of detail required. That's the second factor, level of detail required. At the early stages of development process, an overview of local area demographics and key characteristics of the competition may suffice to provide ideas for project planning. In contrast, a report that will go to investors or lenders must include a careful exposition of methodology as well as detailed information about competitors and demand segments. The third factor is using a market analyst with experience and credentials. So the level of experience that staff members need for a particular study will affect its cost. A senior consultant, if senior consultants are needed, the study will obviously be more expensive than that if they have been prepared by junior staff members. If relatively inexperienced personnel are doing field research or report writing in order to minimize fees, senior personnel who are familiar with all aspects of the work program should supervise them and review the reports and recommendations.
Good evening, classmates. Good evening, Prof. Augusto. To continue, the factors affecting the cost of market study included here is the fieldwork expenses. Hiring a market analyst who is based in or near the location being studied can save on travel-related expenses. However, some developers or lenders and even investors prefer engaging in a nationally known consultant or a person whose judgment they trust, even if doing so increases the fee. The next one is buying data. When we say data, these are facts and statistics collected for reference or analysis. And data are have value. That's why purchasing demographic data or supply inventories from private vendors can save time, but it can also cost hundreds of dollars depending on the scope of the market study. Also, reports requiring high quality photography, graphs, or mapping may also require outside assistance. Next one is hiring subcontractors. If a consumer survey or focus groups are necessary for the market study, consultant will probably need to find a specialist. And increasingly, consumer surveys are conducted online, but they must be structured by an experienced firm that can design a workable questionnaire, find the target audience, and tabulate responses. Focus groups are still widely used, especially to get consumer reactions to proposed plans and designs. And such groups require experienced moderators who work with the client to structure the conversations, gauge reactions, and even record comments. And lastly, scheduling. A developer or lender who asks a consultant to prepare a market study in a very short period of time will often have to pay a premium. The consultant may need to bring in outside assistance to get the job on time. That's all. Thank you.